The catastrophe. In a time not so long ago, Earth was a vibrant planet. It was a place of incredible beauty, filled with vast oceans, towering mountains, and lush green forests. Humanity thrived, united in their pursuit of knowledge and progress. Cities pulsed with life, and technology advanced at an astonishing rate. But in the shadows of this progress, a new threat loomed, a threat that would change everything. The Galactic Council, a powerful alliance of alien species, watched Earth from afar. They were impressed by humanity's intelligence and creativity, but also fearful. They worried that humans, with their endless curiosity and ambition, would expand beyond their planet and become a danger to the galaxy. The Council was made up of various alien races, each with its own interests and agendas. Together, they decided that something had to be done to stop the humans from becoming a threat. After many debates and discussions, the Council reached a grim decision. Earth must be destroyed. It was a harsh and cold choice, but they believed it was necessary for the greater good of the galaxy. With a heavy heart, they prepared their fleets for the attack. They were about to unleash devastation on a planet they had deemed too dangerous to exist. The day of reckoning arrived. The skies darkened as alien ships descended upon Earth, blotting out the sun. Panic spread like wildfire as people looked up in horror. Alarms blared, and chaos erupted in the streets. Families rushed to find shelter, unaware of the true magnitude of the threat that loomed above them. The first strike was sudden and brutal. Energy beams rained down from the ships, obliterating cities in seconds. Buildings crumbled and fires erupted, casting an eerie glow across the night sky. The once bustling streets were now filled with smoke and destruction. People ran in every direction, desperate to escape the impending doom. It was a scene of utter devastation that no one could have imagined. In the chaos, a small group of humans tried to fight back. They gathered in secret, armed with whatever they could find. Their determination shone through their fear. They would not go down without a fight. But against the overwhelming might of the Galactic Council, their efforts were futile. The humans fought bravely, but the enemy was too strong, and they were quickly overwhelmed. As the destruction continued, a mother held her child close, whispering words of comfort amidst the chaos. A father shielded his family from the falling debris, refusing to let anything separate them. In those final moments, humanity's spirit shone brightly, even as darkness enveloped them. Meanwhile, in the depths of space, the leaders of the Galactic Council watched the destruction unfold. Some felt a twinge of regret for what they had done, while others celebrated their victory. They believed they had saved the galaxy from a terrible fate. Little did they know that the true nightmare was just beginning. From the ashes of Earth, a small group of survivors emerged. They had managed to escape the onslaught, fleeing to a distant planet. There, they would regroup, mourn their losses, and plan for the future. They were determined to keep the memory of Earth alive, to honor those who had fallen in the fight for survival. In their new home, the survivors faced many challenges. The alien world was harsh and unforgiving. They struggled to adapt, fighting against the elements and the memories of their lost home. But even in this dark time, hope flickered in their hearts. They shared stories of Earth, recalling its beauty and the love they had for their planet. They vowed to return one day, not just to reclaim their home, but to take revenge on those who had caused so much pain. As years passed, the survivors began to train. They learned to harness the knowledge of their ancestors, studying the advanced technology that had once made Earth great. They built their own ships, dreaming of the day they would return to the stars. Each member of the group contributed in their own way, whether through engineering, combat training, or strategic planning. They understood that their unity was their strength. The survivors whispered tales of a prophecy, an ancient belief that humanity would rise again. They clung to this hope, finding strength in the idea that they were destined to reclaim what had been taken from them. Every day, they trained harder, fueled by their desire for revenge. One day, as the sun set on their new home, A leader among the survivors stood before the group. "We will not let our past define us," they declared. "We are the children of Earth, and we will return. The Galactic Council thinks they have won, but they have only awakened our spirit. We will rise, and we will have our vengeance." With those words, a fire ignited in their hearts. They were no longer just survivors. They were warriors, and as the stars twinkled above, they began to plan their return to Earth, determined to make the Galactic Council pay for the catastrophe they had wrought. The journey of revenge was just beginning, and with it came the promise of a new dawn for humanity. The survivors. As the years passed on the distant planet, the small group of survivors began to adapt to their new reality. This alien world was harsh and unforgiving, with extreme weather, strange creatures, and an unfamiliar landscape. But amidst these challenges, they found resilience. They turned their grief into strength, bonding over shared memories of Earth and dreams of revenge. The survivors lived in a makeshift settlement they called Haven. It was a modest refuge built from the remnants of their ships and local materials. It wasn't much, but it became a sanctuary where they could feel safe, away from the memories of destruction that haunted their past. They planted crops, hunted for food, and learned to coexist with the planet's wildlife. Every day was a test, but together, they found ways to thrive. Each member of the group played a crucial role in their survival. Mara, a skilled engineer, used her knowledge of technology to repair the remaining parts of their ships and devise new tools for daily life. She worked tirelessly, determined to recreate some of the innovations they had lost on Earth. Her hands were often stained with grease and dirt, but her eyes sparkled with hope and determination. Jax, a former soldier, took on the role of a trainer and leader. He was tough but fair, instilling discipline and resilience in the others. He taught them how to fight, using both their hands and weapons. Every morning, he led training sessions, pushing the survivors to their limits. His stern demeanor masked a deep sense of responsibility. He felt their survival depended on his leadership. Among the survivors was also Aisha, a compassionate healer. She tended to the wounded and sick, using her knowledge of Earth's plants and herbs. She created remedies to help the group cope with injuries and illnesses, offering comfort in their darkest times. Her gentle spirit brought a sense of peace to the settlement, reminding everyone that they still had something to fight for. As the community grew stronger, they began to share stories of Earth. Around the campfire at night, they would recount tales of laughter, love, and life on their home planet. These stories were a lifeline, connecting them to the past and fueling their desire to reclaim what had been lost. They would laugh, cry, and sometimes even sing songs from their childhood, finding solace in their shared memories. Despite the comfort of their memories, a deep-rooted anger simmered within each survivor. They had lost everything, and the Galactic Council was to blame. They often spoke of their oppressors with disdain. The Council had destroyed their world without a second thought, and they vowed that one day they would make them pay. The dreams of revenge were not just whispers in the dark. They became a rallying cry for the community. One night, as the stars twinkled overhead, Jax gathered the group around the fire. The air was thick with tension and anticipation. "We can't keep living like this forever," he said, his voice steady. "We must prepare ourselves. We owe it to our fallen brothers and sisters to return and fight for our home." The survivors listened intently, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames. Jax continued, "We need to start training not just to survive, but to fight. We must learn how to navigate the stars, build our ships, and prepare for the day we confront the Galactic Council. It's time to turn our pain into power." Mara nodded, her resolve strengthening. "I can work on improving our ships. If we can get them spaceworthy, we can scout the galaxy for intel on the Council and their forces. We must know our enemy before we attack." Aisha added, "And I can help with the health of our fighters. If we're going to face the Council, we need to be strong and united. I'll create a plan for everyone's physical and mental wellness." The group erupted in murmurs of agreement. their spirits lifted by the shared determination. They began to form teams, focusing on different aspects of their training. Some worked on technology and shipbuilding, while others practiced combat skills and survival tactics. They even created a rotation for night watch, ensuring that everyone had a role to play in their growing community. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, as the survivors honed their skills. They transformed their pain into purpose, channeling their grief into a singular goal: revenge. The sounds of laughter gradually faded, replaced by the clang of metal and the thud of training exercises. Each day, they grew stronger, more united, and more determined. In the depths of their training, the group also sought knowledge. They salvaged old star charts and navigational data left behind in their ships. Mara and her team analyzed the maps, plotting potential routes back to Earth. They learned about the Galactic Council's territories and their known weaknesses, gathering every piece of information they could find. One fateful evening, as the sun set behind the alien mountains, the survivors gathered for a special announcement. Mara had discovered something remarkable. "I found an old distress signal from Earth," she explained, her voice filled with excitement. "It seems some humans might have survived the attack. If we can find them, we could bolster our numbers for the fight against the Council." The group erupted in cheers, hope igniting like a flame within them. The possibility of finding fellow survivors was a beacon of light in their darkest hours. With renewed purpose, they began planning a mission to search for their lost kin. As the night wore on, they sat together, gazing up at the stars. Each survivor held a piece of their past close to their heart, but now they also held the promise of the future. They were no longer just survivors. They were a family united by a common cause. They would reclaim their home, avenge their fallen friends and family, and rise again as the humanity they were always meant to be. With their spirits lifted, they embraced the challenges ahead. Together, they would find a way back to Earth, and they would not rest until they had achieved their vengeance against the Galactic Council. The journey begins. The days turned into weeks as the survivors of Haven prepared for their mission. Excitement and anticipation buzzed in the air as they focused on the task at hand. Their hope of finding fellow humans had ignited a fire within them, and they were determined to see their plan through. Mara worked tirelessly on their ships, combining parts from their old vessels with the resources they found on the alien planet. The makeshift fleet slowly transformed from broken remnants into functional ships. Each ship had its own identity, adorned with patches and symbols that represented the stories of the survivors who built them. Some had names like Vengeance, Hope, and Resilience, while others bore the names of fallen comrades, honoring their memory. Jax oversaw the training of the group, pushing them harder each day. He instilled a sense of discipline and unity among the survivors. They practiced combat drills, strategizing for every possible scenario they might face during their mission. Jax emphasized teamwork and trust, reminding everyone that they were no longer alone. They were a team, ready to face the unknown together. Aisha, too, was busy. She continued her work as a healer, ensuring that everyone was physically prepared for the journey ahead. She taught them about herbal medicine and basic first aid, so they would be ready for anything. Every night, she shared stories of her own family, keeping their spirits high and reminding them why they were fighting. As the final preparations were made, the survivors held a meeting to discuss their plan. They gathered in the clearing behind Haven, the moon shining brightly above them. Jack stood at the front, a determined look in his eyes. "Tonight, we begin our journey," he announced. "Our goal is to find the source of the distress signal and see if any humans survived the Galactic Council's attack. We don't know what lies ahead, but we must stay vigilant and united." Mara stepped forward, holding a star chart in her hands. "I've pinpointed the location of the distress signal," she explained. "It's coming from a nearby system that was not far from Earth when the attack happened. We will navigate through the unknown territories and hopefully find our lost kin." The survivors nodded, their expressions filled with a mix of excitement and fear. They understood the risks, but the thought of finding others like them was enough to push their doubts aside. "Let's remember why we're doing this," Aisha said softly, her voice carrying warmth. "We're not just searching for survivors. We're fighting for our past, our future, and our home. Together, we can reclaim what was taken from us." With that, the group shared a moment of silence, each person reflecting on their loved ones and the life they had lost. They were fighting not just for survival, but for hope. As dawn broke, they made their final checks and prepared to board their ships. The air was thick with anticipation as they climbed into the cockpit. The engines hummed to life, a sound they had longed to hear. Mara took the lead in the Vengeance, with Jax navigating the way. The rest of the group followed closely behind, their hearts racing with excitement. With a final glance back at Haven, the survivors set off into the unknown. The stars sparkled like diamonds against the dark expanse of space, guiding their way. As they left their home behind, they felt a mix of emotions, hope for the future and sorrow for the past. The journey through space was not easy. They encountered asteroids and debris from battles long past. They navigated through treacherous regions, relying on Mura's skills to guide them. Each day brought new challenges, but they faced them together, relying on their training and each other's support. As they drew closer to their destination, they began to pick up faint signals on their scanners. Each one sparked a glimmer of hope in their hearts. Jax led the crew in analyzing the signals, searching for any indication of human life. "We're getting closer," he announced one day, his voice filled with urgency. "We need to be ready for anything. We don't know what we'll find." Days passed, and their excitement grew. They shared stories around their small ship, bonding over their shared experiences and dreams for the future. The journey strengthened their camaraderie, reminding them that they were not just a group of survivors, but a family united by purpose. As they finally approached the system indicated on Mura's chart, they saw a blue planet in the distance. It was a small, unremarkable world, but to them, it represented hope, a chance for humanity to rise again. The distress signal pulsed stronger, echoing in their ears like a beacon calling them home. "Prepare for landing," Jax commanded, his heart pounding in anticipation. They adjusted their course, approaching the planet's surface. As they descended through the atmosphere, the view became clearer. They could see vast landscapes and unfamiliar terrain stretching out before them. The ships touched down gently, stirring up clouds of dust. The survivors disembarked, their hearts racing with excitement and trepidation. They stood together, looking out over the unknown world, their minds filled with questions. Was anyone else alive? What would they find? As they took their first steps onto the planet, they were filled with a sense of purpose. They were ready to confront whatever challenges lay ahead. They were no longer just survivors. They were seekers of truth, ready to uncover the secrets of their past and fight for the future of humanity. Jax turned to the group, his expression serious yet filled with determination. "Stay alert. We don't know what we're dealing with here. Let's split into teams and search for any signs of life." With a nod, they moved out in pairs, scanning the area. The air was filled with anticipation as they explored the strange new land. Every sound and shadow held the promise of a long-lost hope, and every step they took was a step toward reclaiming their humanity. In that moment, they were no longer haunted by the memories of their past. They were filled with a sense of purpose and determination. Together, they would face the challenges ahead, reclaim their home, and fight for the future of humanity. The echoes of the past. The survivors moved carefully across the alien landscape, their senses heightened. The terrain was unfamiliar, filled with towering trees and strange plants that swayed gently in the breeze. The air was thick with anticipation, every rustle and chirp igniting a sense of hope and fear. Mara led one of the teams, her heart pounding with excitement. She scanned the environment, taking in every detail. The memories of Earth flooded back to her, the warmth of the sun, the smell of grass, the laughter of children. But here, everything was different. The ground was softer, the air cooler, and the sounds of life were unlike anything she had ever experienced. As they ventured deeper, Mara spotted something shiny half buried in the dirt. "Over here." She called to her teammates. They rushed over, uncovering a piece of technology that looked strangely familiar, a fragment of an old human satellite. "This might be a sign," one of her teammates, Ethan, said, excitement creeping into his voice. "It shows we might not be alone here. Others could have crashed on this planet, just like us." Mara nodded, her mind racing. "If this is a remnant of our past, then there must be more. We need to keep searching." Meanwhile, Jax's team explored a different part of the planet. They moved cautiously through dense foliage, wary of their surroundings. Jax's instincts told him they were not alone. As they made their way through the underbrush, they heard a rustling sound nearby. "Did you hear that?" Aisha whispered, her voice tense. Jax held up a hand, signaling for silence. They listened intently as the sound grew louder, coming closer. Suddenly, a figure burst from the trees. The team jumped back, weapons drawn, ready for a fight. But as the figure emerged, they realized it was not an enemy. It was a human. A woman, disheveled and frightened, her clothes tattered and dirty. She looked just as shocked to see them as they were to see her. "Who are you?" Jax demanded, lowering his weapon slightly. Are you human?" "Yes," the woman exclaimed, relief washing over her face. "I thought I was the last one. My name is Ilara. I've been here for years." The team exchanged stunned glances, their hearts racing. They had found another survivor, a glimmer of hope in a seemingly endless dark void. "Years," Aisha echoed, her eyes wide with disbelief. "How did you survive? What happened here?" Ilara took a deep breath, her expression somber. "It's a long story. When the Galactic Council attacked Earth, I was on a research mission. My ship crashed here, and I thought I would die alone. But I found a way to survive, living off the land, learning from this planet." "What else is here?" Jax asked, his mind racing with possibilities. "Are there other humans?" Ilara nodded slowly, her gaze shifting toward the horizon. "There are others, but it's not easy to find them. Many of us were scattered, lost in the chaos. Some chose to stay hidden, afraid of what the Galactic Council might do if they found out we survived. But there are whispers of a community, of a place where others like us have gathered." Hope surged through Jax's heart. "Can you take us there? We're searching for any survivors. We need to find our people." Ilara hesitated, her expression conflicted. "I can take you, but you need to be careful. This planet isn't safe. The creatures here are unpredictable, and not all of them are friendly. We'll need to move quickly and quietly." As they made their way back to join the others, Ilara shared her story. She spoke of the challenges she faced living alone on the alien planet, how she learned to adapt to the environment, and the friendships she formed with some of the creatures that roamed the land. The rest of Jax's team listened intently, their spirits lifting with every word. The idea that they were not alone, that others had fought and survived just like them, filled them with renewed determination. When they regrouped with Mara's team, Jax introduced Ilara. "Everyone, this is Ilara. She's been living here and knows of a possible community of survivors." Mara's eyes widened with excitement. "Can you lead us there?" Ilara nodded, her gaze steady. "Yes, but we need to be cautious. There are dangers we need to avoid. Follow my lead, and we'll get there safely." As they set out together, the survivors felt a sense of unity grow among them. Ilara became a bridge between their past and present, a connection to the world they had lost. The group moved carefully through the dense forest, guided by Ilara's knowledge of the land. She showed them how to identify edible plants and avoid dangerous wildlife. They shared stories along the way, bonding over their experiences and dreams for the future. But as they drew closer to the location Ilara described, the atmosphere shifted. The air became thick with tension, and the sounds of wildlife faded. It felt as if they were being watched. Stay alert, Jax warned, his instincts kicking in. Something isn't right. Suddenly, a loud roar echoed through the trees, shaking the ground beneath their feet. The survivors froze, their hearts pounding. What was that? Isha gasped, her eyes wide with fear. Ilara's expression turned serious. That's a predator. We need to move, now. Without hesitation, the group sprinted forward, adrenaline fueling their escape. They could hear the creature crashing through the underbrush behind them, its footsteps heavy and menacing. Keep going, Jax shouted, urging everyone to push forward. Don't look back. As they raced through the forest, the sounds of pursuit grew louder, but the survivors focused on reaching safety. They could not let fear stop them now. They had come too far and fought too hard to lose everything again. Finally, they burst into a clearing, and Ilara pointed to a series of structures in the distance. There, that's where the community is. We're almost there. With renewed hope, the group sprinted toward the settlement, their hearts racing. Behind them, the creature roared again, but they refused to slow down. They were close to finding others like them, close to the chance of reclaiming their lost humanity. As they reached the entrance to the community, Jax turned to Ilara, determination etched on his face. Thank you for bringing us here. We will make sure this place is safe. Ilara smiled, her eyes shining with hope. Together, we will find a way to protect our people. As the group entered the settlement, the warm glow of lights welcomed them. They were greeted by a group of people who had once felt just as alone as they had. The survivors were no longer scattered remnants of humanity. They were a united force ready to fight for their future. They had found each other, and together, they would reclaim what had been lost. The gathering storm. The settlement buzzed with life as the group entered, a vibrant community full of hope and resilience. Buildings made from local materials stood tall, adorned with colorful banners that fluttered in the breeze. Children played in the streets, laughter echoing through the air, a sound that seemed to banish the shadows of the past. Ilara led Jax, Mara, and the rest of the team through the settlement, introducing them to the other survivors. Each face told a story of struggle and survival, of loss and determination. Jax felt a sense of belonging wash over him, a feeling he hadn't experienced since before Earth was destroyed. Welcome, friends. A tall man with a weathered face approached them, his eyes gleaming with warmth. I'm Commander Rylan, the leader of this community. We've heard rumors of other survivors, but we didn't expect to see so many at once. You're a blessing to us. Mara stepped forward, her heart racing. We're grateful to be here. We faced unimaginable challenges, but together, we can build something strong. We want to help protect this place. Rylan nodded, his expression serious. We've been preparing for a fight. The Galactic Council is relentless. They believe Earth's destruction was a victory, but we know better. We have to show them that humanity won't be easily extinguished. Jax felt a fire ignite within him. What can we do to help? We're ready to fight alongside you. Rylan's eyes shone with determination. We need to train, gather resources, and strengthen our defenses. The Council has eyes everywhere. We can't let them catch us off guard again. Over the next few days, the survivors settled into their new life, each finding a role within the community. Jax and Mara helped train the younger members in basic combat skills, sharing strategies they had learned from their time on Earth. Ilara organized scouting missions, teaching everyone how to navigate the surrounding terrain while avoiding danger. As they trained, a bond formed between the new arrivals and the original settlers. They shared stories of their past, forging connections that made them feel like family. Laughter and camaraderie filled the settlement, creating a sense of unity that had been missing for far too long. But even as hope blossomed, a sense of dread loomed. The Galactic Council had not forgotten them. Rumors of their return began to spread, whispers of ships gathering at the edge of the solar system. Jax and his friends knew they had to act quickly. One evening, the community gathered in a large hall, the walls adorned with maps and schematics of their defenses. Ryland stood before them, his voice steady. The council will not come quietly. We must prepare for their arrival. We have a plan, but it will require all of you. Jax's heart raced as Ryland outlined their strategy. They would set traps around the perimeter of the settlement, using the land to their advantage. Each survivor would play a crucial role, from gathering supplies to guarding key points. As they discussed their plans, a scout rushed in, breathless and wide-eyed. They're coming. A fleet of ships is on approach. We have to move now. Panic surged through the room, but Ryland's calm demeanor anchored them. Everyone, listen. We've trained for this. Stay focused and remember your roles. Jax felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. This was the moment they had prepared for, the moment they would show the Galactic Council that humanity was not afraid. The community sprang into action, each member moving with purpose. Jax joined Ilara and a few others to set traps at the edges of the settlement. They dug ditches and camouflaged their defenses, making sure they would remain hidden until the last moment. As they worked, Jax couldn't shake the feeling that this was it, the moment they would reclaim their future or lose everything once again. With the sun setting on the horizon, casting an orange glow over the settlement, Jax took a moment to breathe. He looked around at his newfound family, people who had fought against impossible odds, just like him. They had survived together, and now they would fight together. "Ready?" Ilara asked, her voice steady despite the chaos surrounding them. "Always," Jax replied, determination coursing through him. As night fell, the atmosphere shifted. The stars twinkled above, a reminder of the vastness of the universe, but also of the fight that lay ahead. The distant hum of ships echoed in the air, growing louder as they approached. "Everyone, take your positions." Ryland's voice boomed, cutting through the tension. "This is our home, and we will defend it." The survivors positioned themselves along the perimeter, hearts pounding with adrenaline. Jax stood alongside Mara, Ilara, and the rest of their team, weapons drawn and ready. The ships descended from the sky, their silhouettes dark against the stars. A sense of dread washed over them as the first ship landed, its ramp lowering with a hiss. The Galactic Council had come to reclaim what they believed was theirs. Jax tightened his grip on his weapon, his breath steadying. This was their moment. They had come too far to back down now. As the first figures emerged from the ship, Jax felt a surge of courage. They were not alone. They had each other. Together, they would show the galaxy that humanity was not to be underestimated. Together, they would fight back. "Let's show them what we're made of," Jax whispered, his heart racing as he prepared for battle. The storm was here, but so were the humans, and they would not go down without a fight. The battle for humanity. The tension in the air was electric as the first soldiers of the Galactic Council stepped off their ship, clad in armor that glimmered under the faint light of the stars. Their faces were hidden behind visors, making them look like unyielding machines, devoid of empathy. Jax felt a shiver run down his spine. These were the beings who had once wiped out Earth, and now they had come to finish what they started. "Stay focused," Ryland shouted, his voice breaking through Jax's thoughts. "Remember the plan." As the Council soldiers advanced, Jax could see the fear in the eyes of some of the younger settlers. He took a deep breath, forcing himself to remain calm. They had trained for this, and now was the time to put that training into action. With a swift motion, Ryland signaled the team to activate the traps they had set. The ground beneath the soldiers began to shift, revealing hidden pitfalls filled with sharp spikes and nets that entangled their feet. Chaos erupted as the Council soldiers stumbled and fell, confusion painting their faces. "Now," Ryland shouted, and the humans launched their counterattack. Jax joined Mara and Ilara, their hearts pounding as they charged forward, weapons raised and adrenaline coursing through their veins. Laser beams flew through the air, lighting up the night like fireworks. The humans fought with a fierce determination, each one fueled by the memories of their lost home, their loved ones. They were fighting for a future, not just for themselves, but for all of humanity. Jax found himself facing off against a council soldier, the alien's weapon aimed directly at him. The soldier pulled the trigger, and Jax dove to the side just in time, the energy blast missing him by inches. Rolling back to his feet, he raised his weapon, firing back with precision. The soldier staggered, hitting the ground hard. "Nice shot," Mara called out, her own weapon blasting away at another soldier who was advancing toward them. The team fought as a cohesive unit, covering each other's backs, working together as they had trained. But despite their fierce resistance, the Council's numbers were overwhelming. Jax could see more ships landing, reinforcements pouring in. The sounds of battle echoed around them, a cacophony of shouts, blasts, and the cries of those who had fallen. "Rylan, we need to regroup," Ilara yelled, dodging a laser blast as she moved closer to Jax and Mara. "We can't hold them like this." Rylan nodded, his face set with determination. "Fall back to the main building. We can fortify our defenses there." The group quickly retreated, weaving through the chaos, dodging laser fire as they moved. They reached the main building, an old structure that had been repurposed as a command center. It was sturdy, with thick walls that could withstand an assault. Once inside, they quickly began barricading the doors, using furniture and supplies to block any potential entry points. Jax's heart raced as he helped stack crates, the reality of their situation crashing down around him. They were outnumbered, and if they didn't come up with a plan fast, they would be overwhelmed. "Everyone, listen up," Rylan shouted as the last barricade was in place. "We need to hold this position. Our communication systems are still working, so we can call for help if needed. We just need to buy ourselves some time." Jax looked around the room, meeting the eyes of his comrades. They were weary but resolute, the fire of defiance burning bright within them. They had come too far to give up now. "We can set up some makeshift defenses inside," Ilara suggested. "If we can create barriers and use the windows to our advantage, we can hold them off longer." "Good idea," Rylan agreed. "Let's use everything we have. We'll make this place a fortress." As they worked, the sounds of battle outside grew louder. The thuds of feet, the shouts of command, and the laser blasts were constant reminders of the danger they faced. Jax couldn't help but feel a sense of urgency. Time was running out. "Everyone, arm yourselves," Mara called, distributing spare weapons she had gathered. "We need to be ready for anything." With their makeshift defenses in place, the humans settled into their positions, preparing for the inevitable assault. Jax took a deep breath, his heart pounding. He looked at Mara, who was checking her weapon, her brow furrowed in concentration. "We can do this, right?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Of course," she replied, her confidence reassuring. "We're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for everyone back on Earth. We have to win." As if on cue, the doors of the building shook violently, the sound echoing through the room. The Council soldiers were trying to breach their defenses. "Hold the line," Rylan yelled, gripping his weapon tightly. "On my count, we'll push back." The door rattled again, and Jax could feel the tension building in the air. They were outnumbered, but they had something the Council didn't, the will to fight for their home and their future. 3, 2, 1, now," Rylan shouted. The doors burst open, and the Council soldiers surged inside. Laser blasts lit up the room as chaos erupted once more. Jax fired his weapon, his heart racing as he fought alongside his friends. The fight was fierce, and the humans fought with a fury that caught the Council soldiers off guard. They were determined, unyielding, and unwilling to let history repeat itself. As the battle raged on, Jax felt a surge of hope. They had come too far to fail now. They were humanity, and they would rise again. A new dawn. The battle raged on, a whirlwind of chaos and determination. The air crackled with energy as Jax and his friends fought fiercely against the relentless tide of Galactic Council soldiers. The makeshift barricades they had set up held for the moment, but Jax could see the Council forces regrouping outside, preparing for another assault. "Keep firing," Ryland shouted, his voice echoing above the din. "We can't let them break through." Jax squeezed the trigger of his weapon, the energy blast illuminating the darkened room. He aimed carefully, taking down another soldier as they attempted to breach their defenses. But for every one they took down, two more seemed to take their place, the Council's numbers seemingly endless. "Jax, to your right," Mara shouted, pointing frantically as a soldier flanked him. Jax turned just in time to see the soldier charging toward him, weapon raised. With a quick reflex, he fired, the blast striking the soldier square in the chest, sending him crashing to the ground. "Thanks, Mara," Jax called, adrenaline pumping through his veins. He felt alive, but fear gnawed at the edges of his mind. How long could they hold out like this? Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the far side of the building, causing Jax to jump. A section of the barricade had been breached, and Council soldiers poured into the room like a tidal wave. "Fall back to the next room," Ryland ordered, rallying the group. "We can't let them overwhelm us." The humans moved quickly, retreating to a small side chamber as the soldiers flooded in. The sound of blaster fire and screams filled the air. They could hear the Council forces regrouping, their voices booming as they prepared to advance. "Quick, barricade the door," Ilara shouted, her voice strained with urgency. They grabbed whatever they could find, tables, chairs, and equipment, to block the entrance. As they worked, Jax could see the determination in his friends' eyes. They were all scared, but they refused to give in. They were fighting not just for their lives, but for the future of humanity. The thought filled him with renewed strength. "Everyone, listen," Ryland called, his voice steady. "We can't let them take this building. If we do, we lose our chance to regroup and fight back. We need to buy ourselves some time. Let's set up some traps," Jax suggested, glancing around the room. "If we can slow them down, we might be able to make it to the shuttle bay." "Good idea," Mara agreed. "We can use whatever we have to create distractions and barriers." As they worked together, the sounds of the battle outside grew louder, the Council soldiers determined to break through. Jax felt the weight of their situation pressing down on him, but he pushed it aside. They were humans, and they were stronger together. Once they finished barricading the door, they quickly set up traps. Jax fashioned a crude device using old equipment, rigging it to create a loud noise when tripped. Ilara prepared a series of distractions, using lights and sounds to confuse the enemy. "Are we ready?" Ryland asked, his expression grim. They all nodded, adrenaline coursing through their veins. The door trembled as the soldiers outside began to pound against it. With a swift motion, Ryland raised his weapon. "On my mark." The door burst open, and Council soldiers surged into the room, only to be met with a cacophony of noise and light. Jax fired his weapon, taking aim at the first soldier to stumble through the threshold. The shock of the unexpected trap threw them off balance. "Now," Ryland shouted, and the humans launched their counterattack once again. Jax fought with everything he had, adrenaline pushing him to the limits. They moved like a well-oiled machine, covering each other's backs and working in sync. But even as they fought, Jax could see the tides turning. The Council soldiers were relentless, pushing deeper into the building. "We need to fall back to the shuttle bay," Jax shouted, his voice rising above the chaos. "Go. Now," Ryland commanded. "We'll hold them off." The group raced through the narrow hallways, their hearts pounding as they moved. Jax could hear the sounds of the battle growing louder behind them, but he couldn't look back. They had to reach the shuttle. Bursting into the shuttle bay, they quickly began prepping the vessel for takeoff. Jax's hands trembled as he worked, the urgency of their situation pressing down on him. They needed to get out, needed to escape this nightmare. Is everyone on board? Ilara called, her eyes wide with fear as she glanced back toward the door. Almost, Rylan replied, his focus unwavering. Hurry. Just as the last of their group boarded, the doors of the shuttle bay began to rattle. Jax's heart raced as he saw the shadows of the council soldiers approaching. They were out of time. Seal the doors, Jax shouted, rushing to the control panel. He pressed the buttons frantically, his mind racing. The doors shut just as the first soldiers burst into the room, their angry shouts echoing behind them. Strap in, Rylan ordered as Jax initiated the takeoff sequence. The ship trembled beneath them as it lifted off the ground, the roar of the engines drowning out the chaos below. As they ascended into the stars, Jax felt a rush of relief wash over him. They had escaped, but the fight was far from over. The Galactic Council would not take this defeat lightly. Looking out the viewport, he could see the planet below shrinking away, a bittersweet sight. Earth had been destroyed, and their home was gone. But they were alive, and they would return. They had the will to fight for their future, and they would make their enemies pay. As the stars twinkled around them, Jax turned to his friends, determination in his eyes. This is just the beginning. We'll return, and we'll take back what's ours. The others nodded, the fire of vengeance igniting in their hearts. They were humanity, and they would not be defeated again. Together, they would rise from the ashes of their past and forge a new future among the stars.